I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. Today we're going to talk about one of the most, if not the most iconic electric guitar effect ever, the wah block. We're on the FM3 today and I'm using the USA lead mid gain, but I've got it dialed in for a lot of gain. I'm playing my PRS single cut in drop C. This is the core tone. Now, a wah is a wonderful effect that you can use in so many different applications. If you're playing funk and R&B and you need a choppy rhythmic effect, or if you're playing epic rock leads and you need just something to step on to give you that little bit extra, a wah is always my first port of call. So let's drop a wah block into this particular preset right here. It defaults to the Clyde type, and the first thing we want to set up is how we want to control the wah. I have an expression pedal at my feet connected to pedal jack number 1 on the FM3. So let's right click control and set the source to pedal number 1. I like the effect to auto engage. So I'm going to set auto engage to a medium speed, and I like the off value to be toe down. So I'm going to set it all the way up there. So pretty straightforward stuff. This is what I'm going to get when I start wriggling my expression pedal. It is that classic effect we all know and love. However, there's a few things that, in my opinion, especially with high gain, we can do to kind of tailor this to a slightly more musical setting. And again, your mileage may vary with any of this stuff, but go ahead and try it out. I was a crybaby guy back when I had a, let's say, a traditional rig. So I'm going to select the Crybabe type here as the default. And one thing that goes a long way to my ears is to lower this maximum frequency somewhere around the 1500 Hertz mark. And this is just going to let it, not get into that kind of spiky range right at the top. So let's have a listen. Actually, let's just kind of set it back to where it was at 2100, and I'm going to get it ready to go down to 1500. So I'll press enter on this halfway through this. So I'm just kind of going to play a little bit and sweep through the wah, then I'm going to drop the maximum frequency. So you can hear there that it's nowhere near as kind of harsh and spiky as you sweep towards the toe down position on the wah, which I personally really like. Another control that I find really useful is this fat control in the wah block. The fat controller, for anyone who's a Thomas the Tank Engine fan, it just blends in your clean signal. So if you want a slightly more transparent effect, which is weird to talk about when you're talking about a wah, but crank this up, and I like to set the level actually to give me a little bit of a level boost. Those things together. So for me, I tend to use the wah less for that kind of waka waka wah wah sort of sound that we would all associate it with, and I more use it as like a kind of filter for a vocal effect. I like that on lead guitar, especially when you've got my other favorite effect, delay, on there. You get a beautiful singing vocal tone as you slowly sweep. And it really is all about wah face as well. So back to the wah block. The main tip there is play around with the fat control there. I like to increase it to have a bit more of my clean signal in there. Add a little bit of level boost and bring the maximum frequency down. The other kind of secret weapon in the wah block is the graphic EQ control right here. So if, for example, I really wanted a pronounced mid-range boost when I sit on my wah, let's push 1000 hertz, 1600 hertz, and these frequencies kind of around here just to, again, accentuate. You can see I had the maximum frequency down at 1500 hertz, but now I'm kind of pushing all around that. So this is going to give us more of that feeling of like I've not only stepped on a wah, but I stepped on a boost pedal or something. You could, of course, do the opposite thing and kind of scoop all of this out if you really kind of give it a bit of a V curve and you want to accentuate like the bottom end of the wah curve. You can get this kind of thing going on. I would go for something like that if I wanted, again, more of that just kind of rhythmic wah thing. I'll show you these settings though, because these are some settings that I copied from the John Petrucci signature wah. If you just look up your favorite Dunlop wah and you look up its manual, they will have settings for the maximum and minimum frequency, which is really cool. But the JP wah also has this kind of preset graphic EQ curve in there. It sounds, well, it sounds great, but it looks really extreme. I'll start with it off and then I will kick it in. So you can hear there that the lower end of the frequency is quite a bit lower as well. Maximum frequency 1500 hertz. So right on that heel down position, it gets really round and vocal, but we're kind of compensating with this massive mid boost on the graphic EQ. The final little trick actually has nothing to do with the wah block. It involves adding a formant block in parallel to the wah. So let's do that. And you know, the formant is basically going to be your talk box style effect. So let's do that. We'll control it in the same way we control the wah. So pedal 1, auto engage, medium speed, and for me the off value at 95%. And I like to turn the resonance up on this, give it a little bit of a level, and then you can control the vowel sounds. Let's make it go from like an ah to an ooh or something like that. Or maybe an ooh at the bottom, because that's what I always associate with a wah, and maybe an ah right at the top. Okay, let's have a listen to how all of this sounds. It's a subtle difference in there, but it kind of, again, really reinforces that vocal aspect of a wah pedal, which for me, again, is, you know, if you're playing a massive epic rock guitar solo and you really want it to tug on your heartstrings and be super emotional, adding the wah on top of that just adds this extra vocal element to it. Adding the formant to all of that as well, which is designed to mimic human vowel sounds, is going to make that, you know, by definition, even more vocal sounding. So there's a couple of little wah tips and tricks you can use in your particular rig, whether you're playing, you know, super distorted lead guitar with loads of delay like I like to, or whether you're playing super clean funk chops, getting in there and tweaking the minimum and maximum frequency. You can play around with the fat control, the level control, and the graphic EQ, and then add things like the Formant block in parallel there. I really hope you all enjoyed this particular tone tip. Tune in next week for more of these. If you have any specific comments or questions, let me know in the video description. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching the video. Stay excellent, and I'll see you next time.